All right, excuse me. Welcome back, everyone. Just on the pre-market liquidity scan. You know, it's funny. I always used to run back in the olden days, back in the days before indoor plumbing, before electricity. You know, the olden days of like 2016. I used to run. You know, this time of morning, I'd be running scans for 50,000 shares traded. Now I run scans for 500,000 shares traded on the biggest gainers, and I still get too many matches. Buckle in, I tell you, buckle in. 2020's already been wild. I think fall and winter is just, and then 2021. Anyway, that being said, nice to see markets gapping up. Also, big gap up by Tesla. 5% gap up, well above 400 again. What I love about that, you know, and again, I know most of you guys are low price stock traders, but what's great about this Tesla move is we've seen it for months now, all of these EV plays, these electric vehicle plays. You know, Plug is up this morning, a bunch of them are up. So that's what's great, you know, so keep in mind, if you've got a small account and you're like, oh, why is this guy talking about Tesla again? The biggest reason is it's the 800-pound gorilla in the electric vehicle market. And when it gaps up, man, you got to be running your scans for other EV plays. So, all right, let's get to work. Acor. Not great volume. 2 million shares on a 60-cent stock. Not amazing. Basically a double top at Friday's highs. Not in love with Acor. Acor. Not in love with this. Whoops. Unless a high volume move through Friday's highs. Space? Yeah, I saw Space gapping up. I didn't see any. Is there any news on Space? I didn't have a chance to look. No news, but man, beautiful. Okay, so I'd wait for 1850. But if you get 1850, I mean, that's a multi-month breakout. Well, not really multi-month, but let me show you what I'm looking at here. Man, I like Space over 1850. You can see right, you know, even back in March, there was resistance. When it broke, it ran. Okay, so look at March, 1850 resistance. It broke in April, ran $3 a share. Struggled with it again. When it broke, it ran $3 a share. Struggled again. When it broke, ran $6 a share. So from a technical standpoint, I like Space over 1850. So, there we go. Space, old swing trade favorite, like this over 1850. How do you distinguish between a breakout and a fake out? Well, I mean, the biggest thing is going back to those worksheets we talk about, volume, hot sector, news. Now, because keep in mind, listen, any breakout can fail. Any breakout can fail. But what you're trying to do with any trade, I don't care what the trade is. I don't care if it's a dip and rip. I don't care if it's a breakout. I don't care if it's a cup and handle. I don't care if it's a morning panic, a VWAP hold. I don't care what it is. But the reason we have these worksheets and this process we talk about is the more factors you can put in your favor, the higher the likelihood the particular move is going to break. So what I see a lot of newer traders, doing is I don't care what the pattern is. There's a million patterns out there, but they're trading patterns that only have, one or two criteria. I think if it's a hot sector, if it's ridiculous volume, it's float rotations, it's a whole dollar, half dollar break, it's a 52-week breakout, it's over VWAP, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The more of those factors you put in your favor, the higher the likelihood it's going to work. Now, still might fail, but your likelihood is better. WKHS was strong on Friday. And then what's WKHS doing this morning? Oh, man. Oh, man, it would have been nice. I mean, I'm not a big fan of pre-market trading. Would have been nice to get that break of Friday's highs. So what I would look for is a pullback to 25.50 for an entry on WKHS. So WKHS, watch for a pullback to 25.50 for entry. I mean, man, I'm doing a swing trade session tonight. I might be talking about good chance I'm talking about WKHS, I tell you. What do you think about PLL? PLL is the the Tesla. Speaking of Tesla, so going back to what I said, PLL is up 200% on the fact that it has news with Tesla. That's that just kind of dovetails with what I started with. So what I would look for on PLL, probably a 40 break with risk on VWAP. This is a volatile stock, higher price stock. You got to give it some room. Lots of range. Make sure you are sized properly. But like this, on a break of 40 with risk on VWAP, we'll call that 36. OXBR. OXBR looks dead to me. I mean, nice spike this morning, but I mean, geez, look at that. This thing's. I mean, if it trends up in the afternoon, but certainly this thing looks dead meat this morning. So, afternoon only. This looks dead at the open. Do you use 1 minute candles or 30 minutes? I use 1 minute candles up until 9:45, and then the rest of the day I use 5 minute candles. But that's just what works for me, I'm looking for new names here. A lot of you asking about UONE. I don't know. So Friday night there was some news on these banks. I don't know. They're dipping rips, but I'm just more leaning towards the EV sector. UONE and Carve, etc. Possible dip and rips off of Friday night's news. Not in love with this sector. We've had a lot of spikes and fails. So these have popped up a few times over the last few months, and they've never really held gains. So I don't know. Listen, geez, I'm sorry about clearing the throat. If I'm not bashing UONE, I'm not bashing Carve. I'm just looking at the history of the chart, and basically, like here's the best day. Whoops. Let me. I gotta delete that line. And like August 25th. So my concern is we're going to get a repeat of August 25th. We had some news. All of these low float banks gapped up, faded all day, and then gapped down the next day. So just, again, I'm no hater. I'm just basing it on the recent price history. So look at 825 for my thesis. WWR, low float gapper on a second green day. WWR. Junk. Worst stock in the world. But what's that mean? What's it mean when we got the worst stock in the world with 8 million float, gapping up, and trading 3 million shares at 8:30 a.m.? 100% dip and rip. So WWR, total POS, but low floater with good volume. 945 or later, dip and rip. Nail and bail, okay? So WWR, the biggest thing with WWR is this is not an all-day hold. This is not a swing trade, okay? If you get that dip and rip, it's a nail and bail, okay? Man, space is going for 1850 right now. Slow down! Slow down, space. Let me get one more. Why is 9:45 the magic witching hour? Good question. Now, keep in mind, like, I know I come on a lot of these sessions and you hear me say 9:45 a lot. The biggest idea behind that, and here's the thing. If I know the majority of you are newer traders, okay? I'm assuming. Now, maybe there's some veterans out there on this live stream. If you're a veteran, if you've been around, I appreciate you watching. But I'm going to assume the demographic is a newer trader looking to learn some tips, looking to learn how to scan, looking to recognize what's good news and what's bad news, etc. So the idea behind the 9:45 rule is you just get a lot of big spikes, a lot of big fails, a lot of volatility at the open. And you'll get stopped out so many times. And especially if you're under the PDT. Because again, if you're new, you're probably under the PDT. So if you get stopped out twice before 10 a.m., you got 1 day trade left for the next 5 days. So I think there's higher probability, less volatility, and you're less likely to get spooked. Okay, now, will you miss some 300% runner that spikes at 9:31 a.m. and never slows down? Yes, you will. No doubt. But the 9:45 rule is it's a way to keep you safe and to, in my opinion, to put you in higher probability setups. The market open is just, it suckers so many people in because they see these wild moves, they get FOMO, and they just, they get too aggressive, in my opinion. So, listen, you don't have to wait till 9:45, but if you've been on a lot of these sessions, how many times does a WWR dip at the open and then reclaim the high of the day post 9:45? We see that 3-4 times a week, which is perfect if you're under the PDT. So, All right, guys, good stuff today. Have a great day. I'll be back at noon over on my personal Instagram. As always, check out the Steady Trade team. I'm doing 3 webinars today for the Steady Trade team. 3 45-minute webinars, getting in depth, really breaking these things down. And so check that out. Otherwise, I'll see you over at noon on my personal Instagram. Have a great day.